So let's have a little introduction to RStudio. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now so we can share and see RStudio at the same time. When you open RStudio, this is what you're going to see. And it looks a little complicated the first time you see this type of an environment. This is called a IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, for the language R. So we have here a bunch of windows. For example, here I have a script window where my mouse is moving around, and I can type things in here like x equals 2, y equals 2, and then I could say, x times y, like that. And I can type each of these lines as a R expression. And we can type mini expressions in the script window and save it as a file, and then run all the expressions at once, or just certain expressions that we select. Then, underneath my script window, I have another set of windows with tabs. One is history. History includes everything that I type into the console window over here on the top right corner. For example, if I run these 3 lines here by hitting Control-Shift-Enter, then those lines are sent right into the console, and I have a result, which is 4, which is x times y. X had 2 in it, y had 2 in it, so 2 times 2 is 4, like so. And then in my history down here, I have what I just did, is I sourced what's called sourcing that code into R. I can also use my console window directly. The console window is R. So if you used Python before, for example, you'd be familiar with a console. The R window is the same type of thing. I type something like, I'll just say A equals a list of numbers, concatenate, which is the C function in R, like this. So A equals C, open and close parentheses. Then I can have a bunch of numbers separated by commas, like so. And I hit enter. And you'll see that goes over here to my history window, because it's something that I typed in the console. And if I just type the letter A, it just shows me the contents of that object that I made with the C, or concatenation operator. This object in R has a special name, and it's very exciting because it's called a vector. Vectors are simply lists of numbers that can be treated as if they are a single entity. So I could say A, for example, times X, and then it will multiply X by every single value in A and give me this as a result. So 2 times X is 2, so that's 4. 2 times 3, remember X is 2, so 2 times 3, or X times 3, is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And 2 times 2 again is 4. So what it did is it multiplied X by every element in A to give this result. That result isn't permanent or stored anywhere because I'm just showing it on the console. If I want to store that particular result somewhere, well, I can hit my up arrow on the keyboard to get that last statement, and I'll just call this Z. And I'll say Z equals A times X, and now in Z, I have A times X. And these are all added to my console down here, to my history, I should say. In the history, I can click on one of these items that I liked, that worked for me, like the original one to get A, and I can click on it there and say to source, and that puts it in the source window as part of my script. And then Z equals A times X. to source. Oh, and then to source again there. I did them in the wrong order, but that doesn't matter. This is just to illustrate that you can do that. So whenever you get a successful statement that works for you the way you like it to work, and you've typed it in the console, it will then be in the history, and you can add it to a script very quickly. Then, at the bottom here, we have files, plots, packages, help, and viewer. So most of the time, you're either going to be seeing help when you look for help for an R function. So for example, C, which is a function, the concatenate function that we used up here, we can say question mark C, and that will open up the help for that particular function. In here, it tells us the name of it, C, and then where it comes from. And that's called an R package. So R has a basic language capability, and then there are thousands of different packages with different mathematical or modeling capabilities that can be added to R to do anything. So it's a data science language. So base means it's in C is part of the main R installation. You don't have to add an extra package to R in order to use C, the concatenation operator. And so the help file shows us that, and we can see the help for any function by just saying question mark and then the name of the function, like that. I might want to say something such as this. So Z equals A times X. What about, I'll make a Z, I'll make a V equals Z divided by 4, like so. And so V equals that. Now I'll plot the two of them again. I'll plot Z and V together as a scatter plot. I'll say plot Z, comma, V. And it looks like that. It shows up in the plots window down here. And we can see the dots that for, and again, it's a one-to-one relationship. Not one-to-one, but a linear relationship we're seeing because one is just a direct translation of the other. So that's pretty straightforward. And I just typed an AB line, AB line 0, 1, and that would be the one-to-one line right here. That one-to-one simply means one value of Z is the same as the y-axis value of Z, which we don't see here. So we don't see that whole line. It's not important right now anyway. It's just to illustrate things you can do. And then we have files. So files are showing me all the files in my workspace. Desktop is my workspace right now, and in there is a .r data file and a .r history. And the .r data is everything that we do in this window called the console. If I close RStudio right now, it'll ask whether or not I want to save that data. See, it says save workspace image to see users laggy OneDrive desktop.r data. That R data is R data right here. And if I say save, then the next time I open R, everything that I've already done in the console, including any results, will still be in that console. And I don't have to rerun any code lines to get what was in there. So if I click save, it would just close down RStudio, so I'll click save. Then I'll go back to R and I'll open that R data. So I'll right click, oh, I don't want to open it with this, but I wanted to show you this anyway. This is the actual R language itself. So it looks a little different than RStudio. It's just a console where you can type things. For example, if I hit LS, open and close parentheses, And that's hard to see on this little screen. So if I type something like ls here, remember I said that when I saved my R data from RStudio, it would have saved all of the things in that console session. And ls means list with open and closed parentheses. And it shows me I have an object called A, V, X, Y, and Z, all saved. And I can then look at them by just typing their name and hit enter. A, V, X, X, Y, and they're all still there. So the R console itself in the language R just has the console. There's nowhere to write a script or anything like that. It doesn't show us any other things. It's very simplified because that's what R is. It's just a language. But anything you do in RStudio in terms of code statements, you can run them in R directly here, or you see this little thing, the console, as that upper right-hand window in R, which is fine. Now I'll open that back up, that .R data in RStudio. So I'll say open with here, RStudio. And when I open RStudio, everything that is exactly the way I left it when I left the RStudio. Likewise, if I type ls in the console window, I'll see the same items and a warning message that you can just ignore for now. AVXYZ, for example, here. So those are all there. A is there with the numbers in it. Z is there with those numbers, etc. You can change the way it looks here by going up in the main button bar. You'll see a little icon right here that looks like 4 windows, and you can click on the down arrow beside that, and you can say, oh, I want the console on the left. And look, it changes my environment. You might prefer to have console here at the left bottom, and at the top, the script window, and then over here, all the information windows. You could try different ones here, console on the right, pane layout. And you can choose the layouts you want. What you want to see in all these. So environment, I want to see, we have environment, history, connections, build, VCS. And then the ones that's files and plots, and you can change those around as well. And I'll go back to the way I like it, which is like that. So I prefer it like that, but you might not. So this is RStudio. Now, this window with the script, I need to save that. It'll keep opening up and closing, but it's not saved yet. So it's very important if you have information or script statements within that window that you save that file here. So I'll just go File, and I'll say Save, like so. Then I can save my script, and I'll just call it my script 1.py or .r or whatever it is. So it saves that there, and then on my desktop, there it is, my script 1.r. If I just double click on it, it's going to open it up here in RStudio. It was already open. So saving the script, saving your R data file, and you can also save, well, with your R data file, the history will already be saved. So if I go over to history here, the history is already there. You'll see that in Windows Explorer on the desktop where you have .r data and .r history. So when you save R data, it automatically saves the history and reloads both of those at the same time. I'm going back to RStudio here. You also have packages under here, and these are all the packages that are installed. And if you want to load a package, you can simply click on the package name and see it sends the code necessary to load that package into the R session so you can use its functions. For example, GIS Tools has all these different functions, many of them here. And you can click on those and have a look. So that's just a quick introduction to the RStudio interface, just to get you comfortable with it. Then we'll have some tutorials on different things and data types that you can use in R as well.